Hello and welcome. Successful teams. So how are we building successful teams? This is what this talk is about, the secret sauce. There's not too much secret in it, but if you put it together, it's kind of a secret sauce for successful teams. So teams, high-performance teams, what are great successful teams built upon? What do they consist of? Well, they consist of successful people that are really driving those teams forward, that are pushing those teams to their limits. People like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, right? And maybe you have worked, maybe not with those people, but with similar people that drive your team forward. These are really the superheroes, the superstars in your teams. And I've worked with those teams. And to be honest, it can be pretty scary to be not being a rock star and working together with these people because they are so amazing. They are so amazingly fast. They do things in a fast way. Let me just. So my clicker doesn't really work. So they do things in a very, very fast way. For example, if you give them a task, they do it within hours, while other people need weeks or days for it. And they always come up with the best ideas. I've been sitting in a meeting with those people and think, wow, great idea. Why didn't I come up with it? Really, it's just so great. And I was just impressed by those people. And these people are really the problem solvers. So if you give them a task, so if you have a problem, these are the people you go to. These are the people you go to. You know they can fix the problem. They know the code inside out. They know in which class the problem lays. They can just go in, fix it, done. Where I would look after it for a whole day to do it. So these people are really the problem solvers. And their code is so elegant. It's so nicely written. It looks so great. It's really an art, this code. And if I look at the code and say, wow, this is so cool, I don't want to, if I need to change something, I don't want to change the code. I just inherit normally the class and then override a method or something like that. So I don't have to mess up the nice looking code. And they always knew the newest technologies. If you ask, can we move to this new version of whatever, Maven or so, said, yeah, sure, we can do that. Actually, you know what? I played around with it last weekend, and it's already deployed. And say, wow, how do you know? I just heard of it, and you already played. It's just like these are really the rock stars of our industry, right? And who doesn't want those people in their teams? Really, they're really driving those teams forward. Some people call them also the 10x programmer. Maybe you have heard the term. And people are desperately looking for those. So if you look at job offers, there are job offers out there like rockstar developer needed. Yeah, a rockstar developer. Or Oracle, a unicorn Oracle developer. Also great. Or who doesn't want to be a developer ninja, right? Cool, great. Those people are driving us forward. As I said, people like Steve Jobs, inventor of the Macintosh. Wait, really? No, it was his team who built this, right? Without his team, he wouldn't be so successful. Elon Musk revolutionized the electrical car industry. Yeah, but his team did all the work, right? So his team really built those cars and came up also with those ideas. Or Mark Zuckerberg. Well, to be honest with you, Mark wrote a lot of lines of code for Facebook, but it was his team actually that inspired him to do so, right? Okay. So my person, I'm Sven. I work for a company called K15T Software in Germany. And I'm kind of a team advocate. So I've been working for years for a company called Atlassian. And all the stories that I will tell today are from that time where we're trying to build high-performance teams within Atlassian. So all the examples you see are from my time at Atlassian. I just joined K15T recently to help with building their self-driven high-performance teams. All right, so if you look at teams in your organization, what really makes a difference, right? What makes a difference between, let's say, a mediocre team and a team that really pushes things forward? And if you're working in a large organization, you probably have those teams that you give them a task and they just run with it. With other teams, yeah, you have to ask, how is it going, yada, 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 and it takes a little bit longer. So actually, how do you find those high-performance teams? Actually, Google has done an investigation. They looked at teams within Google to find really the difference. What is the difference between those teams? So they looked at teams like Team A here. Team A is a very, very structured team who is, if you go to a meeting with this team, they have everything figured out. All processes, everything figured out. You go to a meeting, 5 minutes before the end of the meeting, they say, stop, we're wrapping up the meeting here. These are our to-dos for the next day. Let's meet again next day, and they all go and do their work. They have really great processes in place. But then you have also teams like Team B, right? Totally chaotic. Their whiteboard is full of ideas, and they wipe it out again. Their meetings always run over. They have loud conversations in the hallway. Totally chaotic team, unstructured team. So what Google found out is that actually both kind of teams can kick ass. So both kind of teams can be high-performance teams. So that is not really the difference. So they looked a little bit deeper into it. And actually, at the end, they actually found what makes the difference. So those high-performance teams, those teams that really does things fast in a high-performance manner, they actually speak to each other. So those teams speak regularly to each other. These team members speak regularly to each other, which must be common, but it's not regular. It's not so common. And the thing is also they listen to each other, right? So speaking and listening and respecting each other's opinion. So you move to what Google called a psychological safe place, where you can express yourself and you can say whatever you want, and people treat you with respect. So you can have your opinion and drive that forward. So this as a given for high-performance teams, good, but I want to add something to that. If you want to have those high-performance teams, you need to have the right structure in place. So have the right kind of teams. You need to share the same mindset. You need to have support from the rest of the organization, and you need a compelling direction where you can go. And this is actually my definition of the secret sauce of successful teams. A compelling direction, a supportive context, a strong structure, and a shared mindset. And I will go through all those things to explain what I mean, to explain to you what I mean by that. So let's start with a compelling direction. How do you set a compelling direction? So setting direction, pretty hard, you know. I've been working with a lot of software teams, and actually with a lot of people. And if it comes to what should we do next, there's a lot of opinions out there, right? So if you say, hey, what should we do? There's a lot of stuff that people say what we need to do next. Sometimes it is like automating stuff, right? We want to automate more stuff, but then also there's something like we won't need to increase revenue, or project C is the most important project. We need to exchange the new front-end technology because it's old technology. All these things come through. In which direction should you go? Where should you go, right? So instead of having actually all these things, you should really give teams a North Star. Let me just see if I can get a better clicker, because this is kind of annoying. I'm trying this one here. Sorry, I'm back in a sec. All right. Fantastic technology. Here we go. So what you should do is you should give people, this is forward, this is backward. Now we learned that. You should give people a North Star, something that they are heading to, something that is really a compelling thing for them to look at. Where are we going? In which direction are we going? So what we did as Atlassian is we defined the vision of the company, the vision of the team, our 2-year plan. how would Atlassian look like in 2 years? What is our goal? What do we want to achieve? Where are we in 2 years? And underneath, of course, we have themes. I mean, themes are a little bit stable stuff that are kind of stable, like we need to fix bugs, of course. Things like that are those themes. But also what we did on a yearly basis is we gave people so-called focus areas. And a focus areas is something that you want to push forward, something that you really want to focus on. Otherwise, you run in 1,000 directions. So giving you an example here, a focus area for Atlassian was, a few years ago, enterprise teams. At that time, Atlassian software was normally run under the desk and then moved to the IT department, didn't really scale. So what they did is actually they built Jira so it could scale horizontally, and they called it data center. But not only the engineering team had that goal of scaling the software, but also the support team needed to look at how do we support enterprise team? How do we make premium support work? All this. So this was a focus area that we focused on for 1 year. Afterwards, it was just a normal program, so we removed it again from the focus areas. But it's really something that drives you forward. If somebody comes into your office and say, hey, you know, we do Project Z now, and say, no. We're concentrating on these things here. These are the things that we are concentrating on. Project Z has nothing to do with it. We work on this. And then, of course, you need something called measurements. I mean, you need measurements in place to see how are we driving forward, how are we doing with the focus areas, in which direction are we, are we moving forward, or should we put the needle more towards something? And this is really your guiding light. We call that VTFM, Vision, Theme, Focus, and Measure. And it's really something that the company put together every year. We're looking at the VTFM and looking at that. Now said that is, you know, we are agile, right? So yearly, is that really agile? And then you might say, wow, this is for the whole company. I'm working in a bigger organization. How can I change the vision of a company, right? So also there's something for smaller teams that we have. So for teams. And that's a framework we call OKR, or it's actually not, we call it not OKR, because it's a framework that also, for example, Google uses, or Intel has used to develop back in the 70s, the 8086 microprocessor. It's really something also to focus on stuff. Actually, if you talk to a Googler, they will say, we will never have been successful with Google Maps or Gmail if we wouldn't have OKRs in place, objects and key results. This is what it stands for. So what's an objective here? Objective could be, for example, for the Jira team, we want to view the project status on a mobile phone. That is an objective. Let's put that in place. And then you define different key results for it. So a key result could be, we want to have 1,000 daily users. Wow, 1,000 daily users. Okay, let's see how that works. And then you look at the end of the quarter, how many daily users do we have? And then you see, oh, we just have 700 daily users. So you score from 0 to 1. So it's 0.7. Goal not reached, right? But it is, really, because these goals are ambitious goals. These are really stretch goals. They should stretch you to move forward. So first, your OKRs should stretch you, right? 0.7 is fine. Everything below 0.7, you should look at why you failed or why didn't you reach that goal and learn from it. But everything between 0.7 and 1.0, great goal achieved. If you just have 1.0s in your key results, well, maybe you should think about your goals because they were not ambitious enough. So what we also do is we do them quarterly. So in a quarterly is what we find out a good cadence between giving the team enough stability to work on something that they know, but then also to change it throughout the year, to change the goals throughout the year if you find something that this is not our goal anymore. And also less is more. So if we have something like 2 to 3 objectives per quarter, that's enough. Things come up anyway, so something like bug fixing or so. This is coming up anyway, and this is not an objective to fix bugs. It's like something that is repetitively and is normally in your normal developer life. So less is more. These are really the big goals. And also what we do is we make them transparent, so everyone can see each other's goals. So I can see actually the goals from the team next door. So I can align my goals to the team next door. It's pretty cool. So you can see here that's the design team's OKRs. Helen has OKRs, the Confluence design team. So everyone has their OKRs open. I even can see our leadership team's OKRs, so I can align my goals also to the leadership team. And also can see how they score in their OKRs. Now, you might think, oh yeah, great, Atlassian, that's all yours ideas. You're sitting in your own organization, everything is yours. What about the user? Don't forget the user, right? Don't forget the damn user of your software. And we have actually a value at Atlassian, and it's called the customer. And if you listen to the customer, if you don't want to fuck the customer, you want to listen to your customer. So what you do is there's a lot of opinions, right? A lot of opinions where the software should go, what people like with your software. And actually, you hear mostly the people that don't like your software. That's normal. So what we do is actually we have built in a measurement into our product. So we ask people, hey, would you recommend your product to a friend or something? And we call this NPS, or it's called NPS score. So if you have the NPS score and then have something between 9 and 10, that's great. And then 8, 7 is also okay, but everything underneath is just like not good. So we measure how our products are doing in terms of NPS score. But not only that, that's just a number. We also want to hear what really bugs the customer. So there's also a field where they can put in their own comments. But said that is, there's a lot of comments, of course. I mean, Atlassian has 120,000 customers, and I don't know how many users that counts up. A lot of users with a lot of feedback, right? So what are you doing with all those feedback? Well, you collect those feedback and try to put it into buckets. So what I found out is we could put the feedback into 3 buckets to get a better idea what we should work on. Right? And these buckets are reliability of the software, usability, and functionality. Or we call it short rough. So what we do is we're roughing the feedback. This goes with some machine learning code automatically, but also we're looking at it and teach the machine, of course. But then we're roughing the feedback. Give you an example here. Confluence, 40,000 items of feedback each month. This is a lot. If you have read through all those lists, you're a product manager and you have to read through all the feedback, you never get done. So let's look at it when we're roughing it. So this is when we're roughing it. Reliability, 31%, usability, 63%, functionality, 6%. Ooh, yeah, great. We should actually work on the usability, right? So you can dive deeper into it if you want. And this is the source for the product managers to look at and to make decisions based on that. But not only the product managers, of course, also the developers need to know what bugs the customer. Also, not only the developers, also the finance people need to know what bugs the customers, the legal people. We want that everyone at Atlassian understands what bugs the customer. So what we do is we're sending out weekly emails to every Atlassian. So every Atlassian gets this email where you can see the NPS score, the improvements from the previous week. So this is a weekly thing. And then also all this feedback that we get, we put into the email. So everyone gets a different email, actually, with different pieces of feedback. So you can be sure if you put in your feedback, there's been reading by product managers and by a random Atlassian. So we know actually what bugs the customer. The thing is here to set a compelling direction for your employees in terms of giving people a North Star. Follow your goals, right? So have something like you know what you want to work on, and then also understand the feedback of your customers, so you can feed back to your goals. All right. Second ingredient for the secret sauce of successful teams is give your team a strong structure. How do you assemble a team of high performance team, right? But said that is people are different. So if you ask developer, if you want to tell a developer joke, it goes like this. Why do engineers confuse Halloween and Christmas? Anyone guesses here? Oct 31 equals des 25. Some developers in the room, great. I love that. Okay, but If you ask designers this question, they don't laugh. They don't get the joke. So designers actually laugh about these jokes here. Coming Soon walks into a bar. The bartender says, "We don't serve your type here." A few designers here, great, love it. So actually, we are not speaking the same language. That's what I wanted to say. Designers, developers, we need to have a common language, a common understanding. And guess what? I've been working a lot for Atlassian. The common language is Jira, right? So you put your task into Jira, and then just give it to the designers. The designers are done. The developer picks it up. Great, right? No. It's a little bit like traveling back in the past, right? Where we were sitting in these different offices. The product people, the developers, the IT folks were normally in the basement, testing people. So this doesn't really work. We know that. This is not working. It's a little bit like shooting a movie, right? And then putting the light people, the cameraman, everything in different rooms, and let them say, now you have to work together. It will be a shitty movie. So don't do that. That's why I think we should all work together in cross-functional teams. And this is a framework that we use at Atlassian. We have the designers, the testers, the product managers, the developers, all inside a team, a feature team, and they work on a specific feature set. But that doesn't mean that these teams are stable, right? So if someone needs a tester, another team needs a tester, the tester can move over to the other team, can be fluent. Or even the designers, I mean, if you have a designer in your team, we need to have a common design through all our products. So the designers are, of course, sitting in their own design teams, where they also talk about design things and then go back to their functional teams and help working on the functionality of the software. So cross-functional teams are so great. I really love that because, you know, if you sit together with different people from different disciplines in one room, the information just flows. There's no barrier, actually. You can talk to each other directly. And this is also, you have a diversity of thought. People have different opinions, and you have people with different background. Sitting together in a cross-functional teams is great. And also, you get a better understanding of each other's role. You understand why security is important from the IT people. You understand why the design has to be like this, or why is it so good for the user to build the design like this. It's a better understanding. And actually, this leads at the end to faster and stronger decisions. You can move on faster, and you can get stronger decisions because you have agreed on something in your cross-functional team. Great. So how do you bond those teams? You should develop some team routines. It's something that this is really something to bond the team, to bring it into a rhythm. So what some teams at Atlassian do to bond teams is they are doing a fika. A fika is a Swedish word for having a coffee together, so sitting together and drinking coffee. So some Swedish developer came to Sydney and say, let's have a fika. So these people sit together for 2 hours a week, having a coffee together, talking about things at work, maybe also sometimes some private things to understand each other's background better, to work better together. But this time is just reserved, no email, no chat, nothing, no laptops, just sitting together and drinking coffee or tea or whatever you want. What I did with some teams in the past is we didn't have a big budget for sending people to great conferences like this here, to DevTernity. So we were reserving 2 hours on a Friday afternoon and watched video conferences. This is also something that's a ritual. We were voting on what do we want to see next. And then we were starting a discussion in the team about the talk that we saw. But routines just gets also a little bit boring, right? If you just have routines, you also need some refreshments. Make it fresh, like this here, getting stuff done days. This is really something where we also just come together and they said, okay, this is bugging us so much, we never get time for it, we reserve this day to just get this thing done. Like documentation, who likes documentation, right? So reserve one day, get it done, you feel better afterwards. You reserve a meeting room, you turn off your chat and email clients. You just, for one day, sit together and get stuff done together. Also, what teams are doing is they call Innovation Week. So this is a regular thing. Every 6 weeks, they take 1 week off to work on their crazy ideas. Well, it doesn't need to be so crazy, but it has to be product related. The product they are normally working on, if they have an idea, they can try it out. And there's so many ideas that came up in this Innovation Week that ended up in the product and were very successful, that this is really a great thing to just try something out. Because otherwise you never get the time to try something out. But this is really important also to build a strong, structured team. And then try to say thanks. Thanks to each other. Okay, you should do that on a daily basis anyway, to go to each other and say, thank you, thanks for helping me. But there's also a system in place for appreciating the small things, right? So Atlassian has a system they call kudos. And you just enter your kudos here. For example, if someone helped me to run my little microservice on AWS, I can say, okay, great, thank you so much. So I fill out this ticket here, fill out who gets the kudos, write some text, select a gift. I can select a gift. It's just a $30 gift card or something like that for movie tickets, bottle of wine, iTunes voucher, or whatever. And then I press create. And what happens then is that the people team at Atlassian takes care of it. So they fill out this card, and you get a card with an iTunes voucher in it and say, thank you, thanks. Sven says thanks for helping him running this service. You should really work on your welcoming culture also. These days, developers switch teams pretty heavily, and also we need new people on the team and build new teams. So you should really work on your welcoming culture. And I mean, I just recently started a new job, and if you have this high performance teams that is humming away, and you're coming new to the team, you feel like this person here, just standing at the sideline saying, wow, they are doing a great job. How can I get into it? I don't feel like I belong to it. But this is really something you should build. And that's why everyone gets a buddy. So when you start, you get a buddy that brings you into the culture, into the rhythm, tells you, you know what, we know you're a soccer player, so the team meets, or the design team meets every week on the Thursday afternoon to play soccer together. This is something that a buddy helps you to onboard, to feel comfortable in your new role. Also, what people do recently in the San Francisco office, they moved the office right now, so I don't know, on different floors, this doesn't work anymore. But what they did is they ride the beer bike. There's also soft drinks in the beer bike, so on a Friday afternoon, every new employee has to go around with a bike and stop at some places, and then just say, cheers, I'm the new one, and this way you get to know the whole company and not just your team. The Trello team does onboarding. They have this board where you can get your tasks done. All your tasks are on a board, and this is the onboarding board for the Trello team. And it's pretty good feeling if you can put something into the done column and get this done. Actually, the company I work now for, they also do this, and they have some gamification around. If you have moved so many cards, then you get a T-shirt or something like that. So encourage everyone to onboard, and this is a great way. Now, onboarding maybe one employee is maybe an easier task, but what about a whole company, right? So what Atlassian did 2 years ago, they acquired Trello, and Trello was 100 people. Atlassian at that time, I think, was 2,000 people. So the Trello people felt like, okay, they're taking over now, which wasn't the plan from Atlassian, and then felt like, oh, now it's just coming this big corporation taking over all our culture, and to give them a warm welcome feeling and say, you know what? We are funny guys too, Atlassian. We share actually the same values. We have the same culture. What they did is they made a welcome video for the Trello guys, and it looked like this.
Trello, what's up? It's Atlassian, your new friend, here to share a bunch of stuff we have in common, quite a bit. And now that we have come together, we are even more legit. Trello, Good morning. We're in California, Sydney, Austin, all around the world. And just like you, we live our values. You don't do nothing, we don't fuck the customer. Seems we're in sync, so little difference between us that it feels so good to say.
Now it's getting a little bit weird. Sorry for that. Right. So yeah, they felt welcome, but also like, is that really a lesson? Okay. Anyway. So just getting that. Feeling welcomed, think about that. How can you welcome people that they don't feel overwhelmed? Because it is overwhelming if you start a new job. All right, so supportive context from the rest of the organization, right? If you want to drive things forward, you need to tap into information easily, right? You need to find information, and we are normally used to have all the information from the internet. But there's so much company information somewhere, hidden somewhere, that you want to tap into. So how do you do that? Well, there are some ways to do it. There are probably some documents and spreadsheets, right? Laying somewhere around with information on it. So you can get into that, look on the file server, and find those information. You can do one-on-ones. Just book someone time and do a one-on-one and ask them for getting your information. You can schedule a meeting, book even more people's time, right? And get the information out of the meeting. Or you can write emails and get the information you know, this is all locked. All locked information, hard to tap into. Emails are sitting in your inbox or in someone else's inbox and you cannot tap into it. You should think about opening up your company information. There are some things like chat rooms where you can have the chat history and look after what was the discussion. Or intranets. So that is, we're doing, Atlassian is doing a product called Confluence. And Confluence is the heart of a lot of companies' intranet. And I've been talking to a lot of customers how they use Confluence or their intranet. And it looked more like this. So they open up their team spaces, they open up their project page they're currently working on the team, right? And maybe the company information, and then they have the personal space. But what is normally locked down is other people's project, strategies, it's secret strategies that companies have, decisions, why decisions have been made, all locked up in other spaces in Confluence, right? So I can just say everything should be open by default, and this is the way that Atlassian uses Confluence. Everything is open. Of course, there are some, it's a public company, so there are some lockdown places you don't have access to, but normally if you create a page, it's open. Because the information, and it's a little bit like drinking from the fire hose, because there's a lot of information coming, and you have to deal with it, and it's a steep learning curve, but it's so great that you have all the information by hand. It's like having the internet of your company, having all the information of your company just by searching for it. And it's so good to see all this information. Write down your decisions. It's so good to see other people's decisions. So here's, for example, Stan Pittet wrote this, why they developed Bitbucket Pipelines, a cloud service for continuous integration. And then provided some extra data so you can dive deeper into the context of Bitbucket Pipelines. And then also the good thing is you can start discussions here. You can ask, hey, why is that just for cloud and not for server, like I did? And then Stan explained to me that it's all built on AWS, and that's a good reason. I'm still not happy about that, but this is actually great because you can really start conversations. And also, if you do that, allow for corrections. Don't just lock it down for just viewing only. Put it in edit mode because people can actually add information if they have information by hand, or even say this page is outdated. There's a newer one. Here's the link. So people can do that. And we had a mantra called share it or it didn't happen. If it's not in our Confluence instance, it really didn't happen. It has to be there. Otherwise it's not true. So Don Brown here, he wrote a blog post about EAC, it didn't happen. Also great for remote workers, so they can actually tap in all the information there is. And as I said, open by default means also that we have a value for it. It's an open company, no bullshit. Everything is open. Now, said that is this can also go into the wrong direction, right? So this is a post that someone wrote about bring your own device policy. Let's say it this way: it was a little bit strict, and people really didn't like this bring your own device policy. And we had a passionate discussion about. You see, 211 comments, and people were really ranting, saying, if this takes place, I will not be productive anymore at work. Forget it. I will not check my emails at home again anymore, and stuff like that. So what we did, actually, what we did is Mike Cannon-Brooks, the co-founder of Atlassian, jumped in and said, hey, we stopped this discussion here. All valid feedback. We're looking at it and looking at the policy and look where we can make it better. But you know what? This person has taken his time. He has interviewed a lot of people to come up with this policy, and he's taking his heart and mind in it to build this policy. Don't rant. Don't rant about it, right? Just give them better solutions for this, right? Not just ranting. So saying open company no bullshit is a great thing, but it goes hand in hand with another value from Atlassian. It's play as a team, right? So open company without play as a team totally can go in the wrong direction. Now, opening up for information, great. But sometimes information just gets you that long. Sometimes you need actually help from some other teams here. So how do we get help? You know what? Atlassian has a service desk for everything. If you want to have SSH access, you don't know the admin's number or the phone number or the email address, you can just fill out this sheet, and 2 hours later you have SSH access. If you want to open source a library, you fill out a ticket for it. There's a service desk for it. So you don't have to know, do I have to involve legal department here? Do I have to involve my manager? I don't know. You just fill it out, and the rest is taking care of it. Or even if you want to travel to the Amsterdam office, and for people who have been in Amsterdam, you need a bike in Amsterdam. And if you need a bike in the Amsterdam office, guess what? There's a service desk for it. You can fill it out, and you travel to Amsterdam, and there's a bike staying for you. So there's a service desk for everything, and it helps you to tap into help from the organization. The thing is, you should make it discoverable. So people should find it, they should type in a search term, and then they find help in your system. It goes so long that if something in the office doesn't work, you file a ticket, but then, of course, you have to indicate somehow that people are working on it. So this is when the flush didn't work in the Sydney office, so they put a post-it on it and put the JIRA number on it, so you can follow that ticket, you can watch it, and once the ticket gets resolved, you get a notification, and then you go back to the toilet, so it's working again. You know that. But that also means if you have everything in a kind of a service desk, that means also that you have to wait for others, which can be a little bit daunting. But you should turn everything into a self-service, running a self-service. So try to do as much as you can yourself, right? Enable people to do it themselves. So for example, legal contract review. If you need a legal contract review at Atlassian, guess what? You don't go to the legal department. You do it yourself. You fill out this ticket here, and if your contract is under 25K and you can answer all this question with no, you press create at the end, and your legal contract gets automatically approved, right? You can read through legal contracts, right? And if the risk is not that high, it's fine. It doesn't eat time from the legal department. And you don't have to wait for it. If you need QA for testing your software, guess what? Do it yourself. So it's not like this is just like turning the switch over to say, okay, now everyone is testing their own software. It has taken a little bit of time for Atlassian to go there. So there's a lot of educating, teaching, onboarding new people, but they're actually now at that stage that they test their own software. Now, this can be risky because you just see it from your side and test just the things that you think can go wrong. So what they do is actually they do QA kickoffs. At the beginning, before you develop the feature, they do a QA kickoff with a QA person and then develop a test plan, how you should test the software. And at the end, they're doing a demo. So they demo the feature, and then everyone can take a look at it, and the QA person can say, have you tested this and this? So this also enables you to move forward faster. So first, make actually asking for help easy, and think about turning everything into a self-service and let people do stuff themselves. Okay, 10 minutes left, and the last thing that I want to share with you is how you build a shared mindset, right? A shared mindset among your team. You have a lot of brains working on the same software, right? But normally there is this only senior developer that is there since 10 years and knows the code inside out, right? So this is the one that always fixes the bugs because this person, he or she, can just go into the code and knows which class they have to dig into, grade, and fix the code. This poor person, right? Because it's always on bug fix duty. But you want to share the knowledge. You want to share the knowledge among the team. How do you do that? So you should give someone else. You should say someone else is now responsible for doing bug fixing. And this is what Atlassian calls a bug fix rotation. So they send people on bug fix rotation. Every week, another person is responsible for fixing bugs. And that way, you actually spread the knowledge throughout the team. Kind of the same thing what they do for feature development. So different people in the team owns different smaller features of the bigger feature that we want to develop. Now, said that is, if you're responsible for this small feature, there's a lot of developing the process. And you can just say, this is how I will do it with the team. But then, during the development, things come up. And you don't want to interrupt the team always. There's a lot of small decisions actually along the way. So what you do is you get a buddy. We call that a feature buddy. So you get a feature buddy that knows the same feature as you do, and then you can tap into this person's knowledge and start a discussion with that. So this is the concept of having a feature buddy. It's also to creating a same mindset. But not only developers need to create a shared mindset. Also, as I said, we are cross-functional teams, right? So how do you share the mindset across your functional teams? So this is the design wall for one team. So the designers came up with all these mock-ups and then share it with the rest of the organization, or even with a team. And the team can get feedback, can put feedback on it. So you share the whole mindset of how the software will look like. All right, so if you want to do things right, you should have processes in place. Because really, if you want to have a good quality, you say every line of code needs to get reviewed. It's great for having a process, right? So doing things right, processes helps you with that. But that's not the goal, right? The goal is to do the right things. And this is what high-performance teams are doing. They're doing the right things. If you want to do the right things, processes are in the way, right? So processes are not good for doing the right things. You need adaptability. You need to change things in order to do the right things. You run against the wall, you need to change and course correct. And this is great with self-organizing teams. And as I said, teams are different, so teams should do it their own way. Right? As I said, there are structured teams, unstructured teams. Both can be high performance. But there are some structures, some patterns that come up again and again. So teams also can get some guidance. What works for other teams? So we actually found those small things inside Atlassian teams. We gave them all the freedom they have to come up with new ideas and to implement that into their development process. But then we saw some things coming up. Some teams were doing this, and it helped them to overcome a hurdle. And we collected all those small little things that we saw, how they overcome this hurdle, and put that in a so-called playbook. Internally, we built it. We had 40 plays, or we have 40 plays in this playbook. So to give you an example, what plays look like, right? So one team had a problem to align the project team with the leadership team. Leadership team felt out of the loop. So what they did is actually they had this meeting. They came up with this meeting they call a demo trust. And a demo trust is a regular meeting that they did every week. Invited the leadership team, they started discussions, they saw what's been developed, question answered, they are open for everyone to join, and they get honest feedback. And this helped actually this team to overcome this disconnect between their team and the leadership team. And this thing spread all over because we put it in the team playbook and everyone can do it now. So Demo Trust, this is how it looks like in the team playbook. See, there's an overview, and you actually see how you prep this play and then get a step-by-step guidance how to follow this play. Another play in the playbook helps people to see what concept will work for the users, and that is a play called concept testing. Concept testing, also a play in the playbook. You put your concepts on paper prototypes. You explain the paper prototypes to your users, right? You invite some users, you explain the paper prototypes to your users, and then you give them stickers and say, what do you like with this concept and what you don't like with this concept? And this is, for example, concept testing for Jira, for the Jira workflow editor, what they did in the Jira team. So you can see red dots, don't like that, green dots, that's a great idea. Okay, so said that is there are tons of plays in the team playbook, and some you might have heard of, like daily stand-ups, brainstorming sessions, retrospectives, and some you might heard of, like trade-off sliders or sparring, or I don't know. So, and it works so great for Atlassian that Atlassian said, okay, why don't we give it to the world, free, right? Why don't we just open it? So they put this atlassianteamplaybook.com. You can go there and look at the team playbook. There are 26 plays. They have to be matured first before we put them on the internet, but there are 26 plays already on the team playbook, so you can tap into that. All right, so wrapping up. Compelling direction, give people a North Star, follow their goals with OKRs. Have a strong structure in place. Think about cross-functional teams, how you bond your teams. Have supportive context. How can you get supportive context? Put up your information freely, openly for everyone available. Think about turning things into self-service, and then having a shared mindset. These are the ingredients for good, successful teams, right? So you might think, oh wow, this was a lot of concept. Where should I start now? Do I have already a high-performance team? Do I really need all those things, or do I have other things that work great and I don't have to change anything, right? Where should I start? Do you know your team health? Do you know how healthy your team is? Is it a high-performance teams? So also this is a play in the team playbook. You can measure your team health. And Atlassian has developed 8 checkpoints to measure your team health. And these are the 8 checkpoints. So think yourself for project teams. Does your project have a full-time owner, someone that works 80% on the project, that drives this project forward? Is your team balanced? Do you have the right people inside your team, or are you lacking designers or IT people or whatever? Do you actually have a shared understanding of what you want to achieve and what the problem is? This is really amazing if you think about it, if you talk about it. People know already what the goal is or where they want to go, but don't know really what the problem was they want to solve. So get a shared understanding what the problem is and where you want to head. Do you have value and metrics in place where you can measure success? Do you know when you have reached success? Do you have an end-to-end demo? Do you know things are working? A proof of concept. Is that something that is really working? Do you have somewhere where people can dive deeper into the project, know what problem you want to solve, where are you in the journey, how are you solving the problems, give something to read? Do you have figured out all dependencies, right? Do we know that, do we need the legal department or do you need some other department? Have you figured out all the dependencies? And then how are we doing over time? How is the velocity? And then you say just thumbs up, thumbs middle, thumbs down, and let the team vote how they think. Where are we in that journey? How healthy is our teams? Put that on whiteboards or put that in Confluence. There's also a template for that. Or like the Trello team does, put that on a Trello board. And the Trello team is a pretty remote team, working remotely. And then what they do is they do video session where they actually say, now go on the Trello board, and now we are voting for the full-time owner. 1, 2, 3, put your cards in now. and then they're adding the cards to the board at the same time, and build the team health monitor like this. Or you're doing, you can use those cards. I have a few of those card sets with me here. Just first come, first serve. Come after the talk to me, and I think I have 5 or 6 of these card sets with me. So you can, it's like planning poker. So you can have this yellow, red, and yellow card. And then you should track it over time, right? Track your team health over time, so you can see actually where there's room to improve, where you can get better, where maybe we are getting worse. So track it over time. The team health monitor, as I said, is also part of the Atlassian team playbook. All right. So what do you need to build a great team? Of course, I've been working for Atlassian. You need the right tools, but that doesn't help. A fool with a tool is still a fool. You need also the right practices. How do you use this, like the team playbook? And of course, you need the right people, right, to drive things forward. I started this talk with rockstar. We want this rockstar developers, right? We want these people that are rock stars. First, I want to say, don't call rockstars ninjas, unicorns. That's stupid. That's stupid. You're shying away people from our industry. People that don't call themselves, I'm not a rock star, I'm a good developer, I'm not a rock star, especially female developers. So don't call people rock stars or ninjas or something like that. That's a stupid idea. Also because, even the superheroes team up these days, right? Build teams like the Avengers. So stop looking for rock stars, start building great teams. Thank you very much.